Do you want to learn the most romantic chord progression of all time? Well, I call it the love progression because it's used on literally hundreds of love songs. So in today's lesson, I'm not only going to teach you this chord progression, but I'll show you an essential left-hand accompaniment, plus how to improvise in the right hand over these chords using 3 essential techniques. So let's go ahead and dive in. So what is the love progression? Well, it's simply a series of 8 different chords that are very simple to play. Check it out, okay? First chord, C major. We're gonna play it like this. Second chord, G over B. I'm gonna play it like this. It's like a G major triad, but we're inverting the notes. So we're taking that G, putting it on the top. Third chord, A minor. Really simple, all white notes. Fourth chord is a little different. A lot of people would play a G major, but I actually like to play an E minor with the G in the bass. Okay, so it's kind of like an E minor like that, but we're putting the E on the top. Fifth chord is going to be an F major. Really simple, all white notes. Sixth chord, a lot of people would play an E minor like that, but I actually like to play a C major over E. It's a little more interesting. Next chord, D minor, we're gonna play like this, all white notes. And then the final chord, G major, like that. Okay, so 8 chords, super simple to play. Now, this chord progression is used on hundreds of different tunes. Here's a few examples, starting with Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Right? These are the chords for this entire tune. She Will Be Loved by Maroon 5. Isn't that gorgeous? Also, Canon in D uses this chord progression. Okay, isn't that cool? So lots and lots of tunes use this chord progression. All right, next, I'm going to teach you an essential left-hand accompaniment that you can use to get started with this chord progression. But before we do that, if you're enjoying this lesson, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Okay, so if you want to get started playing this chord progression, what's a good left-hand accompaniment? Well, I like this one. It's a very simple left-hand accompaniment, but it really kind of drives the groove. And this is definitely where you should get started when you're improvising at the piano. Okay, so I'm doing a really simple thing here. I'm basically taking each chord and I'm removing the middle note from the chord. Okay, so this is where you should get started. Just take each chord and play it without the middle note. Okay, so you're gonna go all the way down the piano. Again, we're just removing the middle note of each chord. And what this does is it kind of opens up the chord a little bit. We're going to change one chord just a little bit. On our D chord, I like to put the C on top. You could put the A on top, but this turns it into what's called the D minor 7 chord. Just a little more interesting chord. And then our G is our final chord. Okay, so we're just sort of blocking our chords down the piano, just playing the outer notes of the chord. Okay, now once this is feeling really good, let's go ahead and groove on it. 1. It's a really simple groove. I'm just going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Okay, super simple, but again, this is going to drive that groove, give a nice foundation for the right hand when we start improvising. Now, if you want to take your left hand accompaniment to the next level, you can add an additional note. See that? Okay. All I'm doing is I'm adding an extra note on the top. 1 and 2 and then 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, and that will provide a very nice groove when you're improvising. Isn't that beautiful? All right, let's play this left-hand accompaniment with the backing track, and then I'm going to show you how to improvise over it. Here we go. And here it is. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and... Isn't that beautiful? F and the C. Here's our D and our G. Now you can add an extra note. And 2. Isn't that gorgeous? Kind of drives it nicely. And 3 and 4 By the way, this lesson comes with 3 different backing tracks at different tempos, so you can practice along at your own pace. It also comes with downloadable lesson sheet music that you're seeing up here on the top left of the screen. You can also change the key of this lesson with the click of one button with our smart sheet music. So you can practice it in any key, so I'll put a link to all of that below. All right, now that you've learned a solid left hand accompaniment, the next step is to start improvising over these chords, and I'm so excited to teach you the first improvisation technique that I love to use called turns. Here's what turns sound like. Isn't that gorgeous? So how do you get this sound at the piano? Well, the first step is to know the scale that you'll use to improvise. And we're actually using the C major scale to create all of these beautiful lines. So that's step number 1. Make sure you know the notes of the C major scale. It's all white notes. Once you understand that, then you can start playing turns. And the way a turn works is you take a note from the scale, like the E, and you turn like that, okay? So in this case, I'm grabbing the E, and then I'm actually turning on the D. Like that, okay? That's a turn, but you want to do it quickly. Okay, so you can turn on any note, like you can turn on the G, turn, okay? You can turn on the A, you can turn on the B, you can turn on the C. Okay? So practice a few of your turns, get nice and comfortable. And then what you can do is you can actually start improvising little lines using turns. So I'll give you a few examples of lines that you could create using turns. Check it out. Here's my line. Okay. Now I can do this on another note from the scale. Maybe I'll do it on the C. Maybe I'll come up here. Maybe I'll go up to my E. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay. Maybe I'll jump up here to my F. Lovely, okay? So you can turn on any note you want. There's not a wrong note. The key is to make sure you leave little gaps in between your lines. Okay, let's go ahead and improvise with the backing track using turns. By the way, if the left hand is too hard to play the groove, you can just sit on the 2 chord tones while you're playing your turns, okay? All right, here we go. Let's play with the backing track. 2, here we go. Come down the piano. Lots of cool things you can do with your turn. Now, a quick note on pedaling, you're going to want to pedal every time the chord changes. So when you start on your C chord, start with the pedal down, 1 and 2 and then when your chord changes to your G chord, you're going to do a lift, 3 and 4 and. Does that make sense? And then a lift, 1 and 2 and then 3 and 4 and. All right, before I teach you technique number 2, if you're enjoying this lesson and you want to do a deep dive on the love progression, check out our love progression course. In the course, I teach you 6 different left hand accompaniments, and I show you a ton of ways that you can improvise lines in the right hand. We talk about targeting chord tones, we talk about how to build up lines and down lines, and how to add harmony, and I teach you 4 essential effects that you can use in your right hand to create some really cool sounds, like your ostinato. So you can learn all of these in the course. I'll put a link to that below. All right, technique number 2 is your slip note technique, and it sounds like this. Isn't that gorgeous? So how do you create a slip note? Well, a slip note is when you take one of the notes from the scale, so I might take an E, but instead of just playing the E, I slip up to it from the note below. Okay, so in this case, I'm slipping up to the E from the D, and I'm going to use my index finger on the D. Okay, now you can slip up to any note in the scale, like I could slip up to the G, I could slip up to the B, right? The D, the C, right? Any notes can be slipped here, okay? So how do you actually create slip note lines? Well, basically, you start your phrase, and you might start the phrase with a slip note. And then you might start your next phrase with another slip note. And maybe I'll put a slip note here. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, let's do another slip note. Let's go up to the A this time. And we could slip the G here. And do a slip note on the F. Ooh, I did a little turn there. Okay, and then we can slip the D. Okay, isn't that gorgeous? All right, let's go ahead and play some slip notes with the included backing track. Here it is. And here we go. Let's slip an A. You can harmonize it. All right, the final technique is what I call the power harmony technique, and it sounds like this. Isn't that gorgeous? So what exactly am I doing here? Well, if you take a chord like a C major and you get rid of the middle note, you end up with the root and the fifth. Okay? Now we actually call this a power chord. It's a chord that's oftentimes used when you're playing electric guitars, but you can actually use it to get a really beautiful sound when you're playing in this style. So you're going to want to take one of these two notes, the root and the fifth of the C chord, and use it as an upper harmony note. Okay? So the way I like to start is I'll take that C and I'll think of it as an upper harmony. So I'm going to put it up here, and then I can take any notes from the C scale and make up little lines. Isn't that beautiful? So try making up some lines with the C on top. Once you're feeling comfortable, then let's try some lines with the G on top. Okay, so here we go. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to mix both of these. So you might start with the C on top, and then put the G on top. And then maybe the C on top. And then the G on top. Isn't that beautiful? All right, let's go ahead and improvise some lines with the included backing track. Here we go. Here we go. Hey, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this lesson, be sure to check out pianowithjohnny.com. We have over 1,000 step-by-step lessons for all playing levels where you'll learn your favorite songs, styles, and how to improvise at the piano. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.